Hey guys, welcome to the channel. This is Foilblade talking, and I'm going to show you an excellent loadout for the HDR in Warzone. Let's dive in. First thing you want to put on it is the monolithic suppressor. As I've said in my last video, monolithic suppressor is super important, and not just for assault rifles. This will keep you off the radar, and as a sniper, it might be even more important to stay off the radar, because if somebody knows where you're at, they're going to find you with their sights. They're going to pull out their sniper or their low recoil assault rifle, and they're going to get you before you can get a headshot on them. Damage range is also very important, especially with a sniper rifle, because you get those extra feet where that shot to the chest will crack them. You get a few extra feet of just having that advantage. Then the next thing you want to put on it is the HDR Pro. It's a great weapon attachment. It helps you at times because you get that even more damage range, which once again is important. You get bullet velocity, which is super nice to have on a sniper, because all the time you're going to try to snipe people who are moving, and that bullet velocity will help you connect that bullet because you'll have to aim ahead of that person much less. And recoil control, which really isn't particularly important on a sniper rifle, but it's nice because you don't have to recenter on target as much, so it's nice to have. So like if you miss your first shot, you're going to be able to recenter a little bit easier. Tac laser. There's lots of people who are going to disagree with the tac laser, but I'm telling you, it is just one of the best attachments overall. I don't think I've ever been noticed by my laser, and I don't think I've ever noticed somebody else's laser. So that leads me to believe that the laser probably is not going to be a game changer. Like 1 out of every 20 matches, maybe, somebody might see the laser. But even then, they're not going to necessarily be able to figure out where exactly that laser's coming from. So I recommend using it because it gives you aim down sight speed, which is super nice to have. Aiming stability, which is once again really nice to have on a sniper rifle. Aiming stability is incredible on a sniper rifle because you have that hold breath option, the focus option, and it lets you center on target and stay perfectly still. Well, with this aiming stability, you don't have to do that as much because it's going to help you to where you don't need it because you're going to be stable already. And then aim walking steadiness, which really isn't that important, but it's, you know, a nice little bonus. Variable zoom scope. In Warzone, you're going to be fighting across vast distances. Often, you're going to be fighting at 400 meters or more with a sniper rifle. Sometimes it's going to be a lot less than that, but sometimes it's going to be that much. So, you're going to want a lot of zoom. Now, you can make do easily with the normal scope on the sniper rifle, but I prefer variable. There are also other options. You can put on the thermal sniper scope or the thermal dual power scope, but after they were nerfed, I just don't feel like they are usable anymore because you have all that blur, and people who are running cold-blooded, which there's not as many of anymore, but there's still quite a few, you can barely see them at all. They're basically invisible. So I recommend using a normal scope. Try popping a UAV and marking where they're at, and then looking in through your scope and see if you can see some movement. It kind of helps replace that thermal. And then go ahead and put the FTAC Champion. Now, I know a lot of you are going to say that the Stalker Scout, which is the aim down sight stock, is going to be better, but the aim down sight speed on this weapon is very competitive as long as you keep that tac laser on there. But that aiming stability from the FTAC Champion is so nice. It's going to keep you on center. You almost never need to actually use the hold breath option because this keeps it to where your sight stays almost perfectly still. That reticle is barely going to move. I'm telling you, at any range under 400 meters, holding your breath is going to be completely pointless. And at ranges over that, you probably won't need to. You might want to a little bit, but there's probably not going to be a need. I'm not saying don't, but you're not going to need it. That's my overall suggestion for the loadout for the HDR. I highly recommend, you know, following this general idea. You can change a few things, like if you don't like the variable zoom scope, which I fully get, you could go ahead and switch to the 7-round or 9-round mags. I would suggest 7. 9 round kind of gives too much of an aim down sight speed debuff. And if you don't want to do that, you can go to perks and you can put on focus, which is going to give you flinch resistance, which is really nice to have as a sniper. I don't use focus, but I can definitely see why you would want to. For the rest of the loadout, I recommend you running a 50 GS. It doesn't really matter how you set it up. It's just how you like it. This isn't actually my 50 GS setup exactly. I usually change a couple things on it. I was running it in Plunder and I changed a couple things. But I usually put an OPTIC on there, and I usually turn off that 5 milliwatt laser. And this is just a general idea of what to do. I'm not going to give you an exact on your pistol because pistols are kind of malleable on how you use them, but the 50 GS is probably the best one to run, since if you pick up this loadout and you don't have your first loadout, that 50 GS is probably going to be your best bet at extended combat situations as a pistol. So like, you know, if you're taking on anybody at a range over 30 meters, it's going to be really hard to do it with any other pistol. Perks run the same as on the RAM loadout I've showed you before. Just run EOD, which is going to give you the ability to take an explosive to the face and not die. Ghost, which is going to keep you off the radar. You can always run Overkill instead and run your secondary, which a lot of people do. I don't, but you definitely can. And Shrapnel. You can also run Amped, but I use Shrapnel usually because I feel like it's a better perk because you get that second lethal. Speaking of lethals, I've been using Semtex. I tried out the frag grenade after the C4 nerf, and I just couldn't get the hang of it. And I tried out the thermite, which I liked a lot, and now I'm going to try out the Semtex, and I'm going to try to decide between the Semtex and the thermite. Both kill riot shielders. Both are very nice. They both have different advantages. Thermite's probably better for vehicles, whereas Semtex is probably better against people, and I'm just going to see which one I like better. For your tactical, I run heartbeat sensor. You definitely don't got to run heartbeat sensor. You can run stun grenade if you're very offensive, but I like to hang back, figure out what's going to go on, try to get an idea of where the enemy's at, and position myself accordingly. And that's how I use the heartbeat sensor. I am probably going to soon switch over to stun grenades and try those out. So if you want to see that, go ahead and watch my next video when it comes out. And that's pretty much my loadout for the HDR. I highly recommend running this with a RAM loadout or with a SMG loadout, something that can cover medium range and close range, and then use the sniper rifle for longer ranges. I don't really recommend running this with a kilo or with a growl, or even with the M4. It would work better with the M4 than with the growl or the kilo, but the Ram 7 or the AMAX or a weapon like that with a fast time to kill but not amazing range, that's probably the best bet to use with this, because you're going to want to switch to your sniper rifle for that. That's the best loadout I've ever used. I highly recommend it. If you want to see more loadouts, tell me about them. Try to give me some ideas. I've got tons of loadouts to show you guys, but if you have an idea of your own, feel free to comment and tell me what you want to see. Thanks for watching. Thank you guys so much. I can't wait to get this YouTube channel going heavily, and just remember to have fun. Load up, frag out.